Great day, everybody. Today we are actually going to be talking about setting goals. In more detail, understanding and meeting college entrance criteria. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everybody. Today, Study Smart Tutors. So we're going to start off by talking about today's learning goal. In this workshop, participants will be able to understand which criteria are a priority to colleges and how to set goals for students to achieve them. The agenda is what matters most to colleges. We're going to continue with setting SMART goals, understanding college fit, creating a college list, and then also we're going to have an opportunity to ask a few questions. So let's start with high school classes will open doors to colleges. For students planning to go to college, it's important that they take the right classes in high school. That means that beginning in ninth grade, the majority of classes should be ones that will prepare them for admission to and perhaps even more opportunity success in college. Most admission officers will tell you that the first thing they look at is your choice of classes, even before they look at your grades. When it comes to time to apply for college, you want to make sure that you meet the admission criteria for all colleges in which you are interested in. Make sure that you always remember that it is much better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Now let's talk about what matters the most to colleges. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about what do you think is most important to colleges. And then as you begin to think about some of these things, we'll continue on or take some of these notes down. All right, so now we are going to talk about the NACAC survey, the most important factors. The NACAC is the National Association for College Admission Counseling. So when they look at all the different requirements and all the different things that students have when they apply to colleges, the counselors here said that high school transcripts are the most important thing. And then also standardized test scores, although some universities in California have stepped away or have kind of gone away from utilizing standardized test scores as an admissions requirements. The other thing that is very, very important is letters of recommendation from your counselors, from your teachers, perhaps from an employer, maybe from a leader within the community. Those are very, very important. Now, one of the things that if you were to ask me what should be up in the list is essays, your personal essay. This is where you as a student have an opportunity to tell the admissions counselors all about you. For example, this would be what makes you you. What makes you more unique compared to other individuals. And then also we're going to start looking about the activities and or employment that you have. Maybe you played varsity soccer all 4 years, or maybe you had a part-time job. These are very, very important for you to kind of take in consideration when you are applying to colleges. Now, continue on with what matters the most to colleges. How do colleges select students? It's not one of the great mysteries of life, even though it's sometimes looked that way. While there is no precise formula for how a student gets admitted to a college, admission departments typically provide their admission criteria. While every college is different, some factors consistently rank as either important or very important. For example, we already talked about some of these things, but overall high school grades, the college prep courses, standardized test scores, your personal essay, extracurricular commitment, demonstrated interest within that university, and then also your special talents, letters of recommendation, and ultimately your class rank. For more information on this, you can access the PDF and the classroom materials provided to you earlier. School activities and involvement. Questions for students to consider. What activities do you enjoy outside of the daily routine of your school, and why? Again, for example, do you play soccer? Do you play softball? Do you work? Do you work out? Do you volunteer in the community? These are some of the things that should be important to you, and these are some of the things that you're going to be able to highlight. In what sports or games do you participate, and with whom? In what school-sponsored activities have you participated in, and why did you select these? For example, you could have participated in FFA, in MECHA, and CSF, and other activities. And why did you decide to participate in this? That's very important. The other one is, have you had any leadership roles on sports teams, in local organizations, religious institutions, youth groups, or school-sponsored activities? If so, what are they? Were you the president? Were you the treasurer? Were you the secretary? Or were you just simply a member at large? The other thing that we need to look into is what summer experiences have you been particularly important to you? Camps, church or family activities, etc. Maybe you volunteer to be a counselor at a local camp. Maybe this is the time where you play travel sports. Or maybe this is the opportunity that you take to find a full-time job during the summer in order for you to help out your family. These activities during the summer are very, very important. Moving on, what kind of music do you like? Do you play an instrument? Do you play the saxophone? Do you play the trombone? This is very, very important. Do you sing? Would you like to do that in college? Do you have friends or family members involved with music? These are all very special talents that we should really consider and we should highlight as we begin to apply for colleges. Have you been involved with any volunteer or community service work? Why did you do it and what did you learn from it? Would you like to continue this after high school? These are all very important things to consider. Now, let's talk about what makes a well-rounded student. Although grades are very, very important, as you can notice on the list that we provided before, a well-rounded student is made up of grades, the courses that you take, the activities that you participate, perhaps maybe special talents that you have. That's what makes a well-rounded student. Volunteer work and community service, the leadership roles that you have held within these activities. Maybe, like I said earlier, maybe you were the team captain, maybe you were the president of the Mecha Club, etc. Other extracurricular activities that you have participated in. Sports is also very important. Do you play sports through high school? Do you play travel ball? Or do you play club ball? These are all very, very important because it signifies that you are a well-rounded student, or it makes you a well-rounded student. Ultimately, one of the things that colleges do also consider is your class rank. Were you in the top 5? Were you in the top 10? This is also very important that it makes you a well-rounded student. Lastly, some of the internships and employment opportunities that you have had. Maybe you were a member of a science and engineering pathway that it gave you an opportunity to do an internship at one of the local engineering firms, or maybe a law firm. These internships and employments are also very important. So these are some of the examples that make you a well-rounded student. And then I almost forgot about the awards and the recognitions that you perhaps have received. Did you receive valedictorian? Did you receive a team MVP? Or were you presented with a certificate from the volunteer work that you did? Now, let's talk about how can you begin to make note of these school activities and involvement that you have partaken in. There is a form in the class material that was provided for you that you can actually utilize to keep track of all these different activities that you have been a part of that make you a well-rounded student. You can follow along this form once you access it. The following table is to help you focus on your interests and abilities and to determine how you might be able to develop them in high school or beyond high school. Don't be afraid to put down interests that you may not have pursued to date. The future is yours. Now, let's discuss some goals and some goal settings. What are some of the goals for you and your student? For example, let's start off with what you will do. What specific actions will you take? How you will do it. What would be the quality of your actions? This is where you can articulate your values for how you want to interact with your family. And then also, why? What results or benefits you will see when you look at your kids, your family in a few years, or yourself. A great way to start doing this is to start creating SMART goals. SMART is actually an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, let's talk about setting goals. Here's an example for you. I want to do well on the SAT. Although that is a great goal for you to start on, it needs a little bit more. And as we go through the SMART goals or setting SMART goals, we will identify what are some of the things that are missing from this goal. Another example is I want to do well in my geometry class. This is a great goal for you to have. However, it's missing some things that will make it even a better goal. Let's start to think about how to set a SMART goal. For example, what class do you want to do well in? High school geometry. How do you want to measure that goal? You want to earn an A. Okay, so now let's begin to think about what considers an A. An A means 90% or better by the end of the semester. Now let's talk about how do you track this progress. Is there a program at the high school that allows you to see how well you're doing in that class? Or are you going to simply write some of these things down that you can keep track yourself? This is another example of how to set SMART goals. Start off with your name, the date. You have to set your goal. And remember, your goal has to be specific, measurable, attainable, results-based, and timed. Now that we have talked about setting goals, let's begin to look at understanding a college fit. What are the best things to look at in choosing the right college? Finding the college that is right for you means understanding the three primary components of fit. Academic, you have to consider whether a college meets your academic needs and you have the right academic foundation for that school. You also have to look at the social factor of it. Determine if you will be comfortable in your new environment in and out of the classroom. And then lastly, the financial aspect of it. Be sure you can afford the cost of attending the school. Continuing on with understanding the college fit, now let's look at academic a little bit more in detail. Am I clear about what I want to study? Does the school have a program in that subject area? Am I undecided about what I want to study and need a broad range of options? What is my ideal learning environment? Is it small or intimate classrooms or large lecture halls? Am I prepared for the academic challenge at this college? If I decide to change my major, are there other academic programs that interest me? Moving on, understanding college fit, the social aspect of it. We begin to think about, do most students live on campus or commute to school? What is the campus culture? What activities are most popular on campus? Athletics, community service, the Greek system, or other activities? What is the town city like around the campus? Is it a small town or a large city? This is very important when you decide to choose the social aspect of the understanding your college fit. How do key campus demographics fit into my priorities? This is where you begin to look at the size of the school, the demographics of the school, the location of the school, how are you going to get there, etc. Moving on to understanding your college fit, the financial aspect of it. Begin to think about, what are the criteria for merit-based scholarships? What is the total cost of attendance? What percentage of students receive need-based financial aid? And can I afford to attend this college with manageable loan debt? When we begin to think about the total cost of attendance, the tuition is one thing, but we also have to consider the rent, the books, transportation, food, etc., etc. It's not just the tuition that is part of the total cost of attendance. Moving forward, college search considerations. You have to think about the size, the location, and the campus setting. Do you see yourself living and thriving there? If not, then maybe you will want to choose a different college. The learning environment. Do you prefer smaller classes or big lecture halls? Or do you prefer to take a virtual learning? Majors and special programs. Do they offer multiple majors or programs that interest you? Now, let's talk about the academic fit in a little bit more detail. Do they have a good program for my desired major? Can I switch my major easily? And now, the social fit. The campus is close, far from home. The surroundings of the college is what I want. The city interests me. The active campus culture, etc. The financial fit. The education is affordable. I could qualify for financial aid, travel costs to and from campus. Looking at the academic fit, you need to identify your desired field of study. What are your top 2 areas of interest? Make a list of 5 schools that have a positive reputation in this field. Using Google, search for average SAT scores for each school. And then begin to make a list. What is the average SAT score for whatever university you're applying to? Your college list is the social fit. Based on your 5 academic fit schools you listed, identify what city is this school in? How many miles from home is it? What campus clubs, organizations can I become involved with? And how many people attend the school? Your college list, financial fit. Based on your 5 schools you listed, identify what is the annual tuition, what scholarships, grants, and or financial aid is available. If I go into college debt, would receive my education from this school be the best choice? Your college list closing tips. You may find that your college list will change as you explore academic, social, financial fits that are right for you. I'll provide a couple of tips for you. Your college list should be a blend of different types of schools: community colleges, CSUs, UCs, privates, and out of states. Oftentimes, financial aid is available for the college application process. If you are unaware of this, contact your high school counselor. Perhaps you have other programs within your high school that can provide financial assistance for applying to college. Apply to schools that may be difficult to achieve, but always have a backup plan. A question that a lot of people ask is, how many colleges should students apply to? There's really no right answer to this question. However, there is a recommendation that ranges from 3 to 12. The typical advice is to apply from 5 to 8 schools. And remember, those colleges and universities you apply to have to be from a broad range of colleges and universities. Do I need to know my major? Of course, knowing your interests can help narrow your college choice, but it's not a requirement. Where to start to know my interest? There are several resources within the classroom materials that we provided. One of them is visiting Big Future by College Board. Go check out their website and they'll provide resources and ideas on how to create these lists. A resource to help students with college options, Big Future by College Board. On there you have approximately 4,000 college options. Choose a category on the left to find the right ones for you. And of course, if you are doing this with the counselor, they can provide some assistance for you. Another one is College Board, how to build a college list. You can find this on the classroom materials, on the class materials that were provided for you earlier.